Deborah Noble, and welcome to Jewish Cooking Connection. We're sponsored by the Jewish Federation of the San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make Spanakopita. Now, Spanakopita is not strictly Jewish, obviously. It's mostly Greek, Turkish, Armenian, Moroccan, North African, Middle Eastern, and everything else pretty much from the Atlantic to Bukharia. But Jews have been in most of those places, and my first association with Spanakopita was when I was 15. We were living out in Seattle, and there were not only Greek restaurants, but we were invited to go to a Hanukkah party where they served Spanakopita, and that made the association in my mind. But Jews have been serving and making variations on Spanakopita and all kinds of phyllo dishes for about 1,000, maybe 2,000 years. So I'm going to start with the ingredients. We have 3 pounds of spinach, well squeezed out. We have lemon juice, about 2 lemons worth. We have olive oil and some salad oil in a mixture here, about half a cup. I've got a little bit more here just in case. I have 3 8-ounce packets of feta cheese and a bunch of scallions and about 5 stalks of dill and 2 cloves of garlic, fairly large. And I like to throw in some marinated artichoke hearts, about a handful. And of course, a packet of phyllo dough. Without that, I'm not sure where we'd be. So I'm gonna start just by mixing the spinach. I'm going to squeeze out the last bit. I have a strainer. You could use a flour sack towel. And I'm just going to press as much liquid as I can reasonably. I'm not gonna get it to bone dry, but it's enough to stick to itself and make a ball. So I'm just doing this, and there's a fair amount of liquid coming out into the bowl underneath. This is just a mesh strainer, and you could do it with your hands. I used to do that in a restaurant when I was in my 20s, and it was painful. So do a mesh strainer or a flour sack towel, muslin, cheesecloth, something like that. This is starting to come together in a ball, as you can see. It's gathered up to itself, and that's good enough. So we're gonna set that aside. Next go in the scallions and dill, which are chopped up, about a good handful each, or to taste. This is for a party tray that will make about 16-inch sort of pizza size. And that's because I wanted to do something fun, and also because it's enough work that you might as well do it for a party. You could do like 1 pound of spinach for, you know, a dinner kind of thing, and maybe put in ricotta instead of some of the feta, and that, or a couple of eggs, and that would make a good Spanakopita as well. I'm just grating in 2 cloves of garlic quickly, and which is kind of a lot. And I'm gonna work with my hands. I hope you don't mind, but I'm gonna just squeeze the feta cheese in. And I will take, let's see, about, one thing I should do is kind of drain some of the artichoke hearts. I'd say a good handful, like this, and press the juice out of them. I'm going to put this in the salad bowl as well. And then the juice of the lemon. I have very large lemons. If you have medium-sized lemons, I would say put 2 in there. I'm just going to use my hands and mash the filling together. The one thing you have to do early before you start making the Spanakopita filling or doing any of the work is to put your packet of phyllo dough in the refrigerator overnight. There is really no shortcut. And doing the filling earlier is a little bit time consuming if you start from making, cooking the spinach itself. So you probably want to do those 2 things ahead. Phyllo does come frozen. There's no substitute really. You can set things out on a counter to thaw, but it would take 4 or 5 hours. You really do have to plan ahead. Okay, this is the filling that I've mixed up as we were before, and now it's time to start laying out the phyllo. When you have this well-thawed phyllo that's been in the fridge overnight, you don't open it till you're ready to use it. You want a clean, dry surface, and you want your hands clean and dry as well. You see that this is actually open and needs a little help. And it comes in a plastic sleeve with a plastic liner that you can unroll it. I have a glass cutting board here, and I find that it's generally good enough, but if you have a surface where you really need to spread out a little bit, or if you're new to it, you may want to put down plastic wrap or something like that to make sure that everything is really clean. People are sometimes afraid to handle phyllo dough because it can be troublesome, but generally if you thaw it well and slowly, gradually, it will behave better. So I'm not going to actually cover it right now because I'm about to start. I have a bowl of olive oil mixed with a little salad oil. You can use a pastry brush. You can use a baggie over your hand, or I'm going to use a teaspoon. And the other thing I'm going to do is I am going to get a prepared pizza pan to lay things down on. This phyllo is about like tissue paper, and so you want like one sheet at a time so it doesn't get chewy. I find that it will tear a little bit if you're just doing single sheets, and this makes it a little bit stronger. I'm going to fold it in half like a book, each sheet, and then lay them around in a pinwheel, put the filling down, and then I'll make another pinwheel. So about 8 to 9 sheets will cover this pizza pan, and I'm going to go fairly quickly. Just a teaspoon of oil is good enough on the top half, and just sort of drizzle it like this. Honestly, that is good enough. I'll also put a little bit on the pan itself, and I'm going to lift up the first sheet like this, fold it over. This gives it a little bit of extra strength, and it's a little easier to lift the folded part up. I'm going to put this with this one point just over the center, and I'm going to keep doing that for about 8 or 10 sheets. Let me see if I got this. So this is going to be kind of a pinwheel. I will drizzle a little bit of oil on top here as well. This should do it. Okay, here we are. But with 3 pounds of spinach from frozen, I just take a big skillet. I put all 3 pounds in, kind of break it down, a little bit of water and a big lid. In fact, I use this as an inverted lid over my frying pan and on medium heat, maybe 15-20 minutes just to cook it before I started to strain out the water. Right now I'm going to, this has a little bit of overlap, a couple of inches all the way around. I'm just going to dump the whole thing inelegantly. And of course I forgot I was going to roll this up first to cover it while I'm doing this. All right, and protect it. You can see it's not incredibly well mixed on the bottom, but it'll do. I'm going to pat this whole thing out just about to the edges of the pan. So that's going to make about a 16-inch party tray. It's not the kind of thing you would use for the main dish, but it's good on a buffet table, and it's not too hard to do, which is why I decided to do it, because it looks fancier than it really is. All right, here I am, almost ready, and we're just about out to the edges. And then I'm going to take each of these, and my hands are a bit messy. That's okay, I'm going to clean them off a little bit before I get to the rest of the phyllo. I'm going to fold this edge up all the way around, tuck it up. That will also keep some of the edges from getting too dry because they're now in contact with the filling. And I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of oil around. When this bakes, all those drizzles of oil will actually spread out. I'm going to wipe my hands off and we're going to do the top layer. So here we go again. This, if you were doing something with like 10 different trays, you would probably want to have some kind of a cover on top. But here we are. We're just going to do the same thing on the top, and then we'll get to the fancy looking part. Okay, this is 1. You can see, how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're good. And I still have a few pieces. If you really wanted to, you could take one solid sheet and just wrap it over the whole thing, but I don't think we're going to. We have a little bit left for individual toaster oven pastries if you want. And that can stay in the fridge for a little while. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is with these raw edges, I'm going to tuck them under the entire thing. All those little corners are going to go underneath so that you get a nice, reasonably neat round. And go kind of like this. It's okay if something tears a little bit, you just patch it up. It's almost inevitable really with phyllo dough. Okay, now I'm going to spread a little bit more oil all over it, and this is going to be a little bit messy seeming, but that's what washing your hands afterward is for. This one is definitely a cook with your hands sort of recipe. I'm going to smooth the oil all over the dry edges, especially the corners, and some of this oil will sink through and make the layers crisp. Okay, and I should say, when you are ready to bake this, it should be about 375 to 400 Fahrenheit. 375 is good because it won't scorch the top layers before the inside is cooked. The other thing is that it will take about 35 to 45 minutes, and you want to check on it once or twice at the time. Say 35 minutes, you want to check and make sure that it's brown on top but not too brown. You want it to be brown underneath as well. So now we're ready to score this into cutting pieces, and what I'm going to do is just cut it in half. I only want to cut through the top stack of phyllo. I don't want to cut all the way down to the bottom, but I take a sharp little paring knife. It is pretty easy to do this with, and I just make little sawing motions. Cut it in half. That's one line, and then I make more cuts parallel to it on both sides, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to start in the middle again at the top, and I'm going to make an angle like for diamonds. Now some of the top layers of phyllo may shift a little bit. Hold your other fingers like this carefully to keep the layers more or less in place, and just, smooth them back into place when you need to. Like that. Take the next line, starting at the top, and just make a parallel line, like that. Okay, and this is what it looks like before you stick it in the oven. You can just bake it like this, open, as I say, for 35 to 45 minutes. And use your nose. You'll know when the filling also starts to smell good. It's not just smelling like the phyllo. Okay, well, our Spanakopita has been in the oven at 375 Fahrenheit for about 40 to 45 minutes, and I'm going to go and check it and see what it looks like. And I have some parchment underneath this version of it, obviously. Now, I scored the top with a knife before I cooked it, and that's going to make it a lot easier. I recommend a pizza wheel for serving. And what we're going to do is just cut all the way down. I'm going to use this. And try and keep the layers together. It may or may not work easily. Yeah, let me cut a couple of pieces. I'm going to cut a wedge of these and then cut them into smaller pieces so that you can see. And this will cut down, you want the bottom to be crisp and brown as well as the top, and that will take that kind of time, the 40 minutes. And may I have a plate, please? All right. And as you can see, this has a few little extra triangles on it. But it cuts fairly neatly, and you can see that this would be a good way to serve it. You can leave it on a tray for a party. You can take, if you have a parchment paper on top of the tin foil, then it's easier to lift things off onto a platter. Anyway, betävon.
כל המעשים ברוך ומבורך בפי כל נשמה גדלו וטובו מלא עולם דעת ותבונה סובבים אותו המתקהל חיות הקודש ונדע בכבוד המרכבה זכותו משור לפני חיסו חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו יצרם בדעת בבינה ובהשכל כוח וגבורה נתן בהם להיות מושלים בקרב תבל מלאים זיו ומפיקים נוגה לעזיבם בכל העולם שמחים בצאתם וזזים בבואם עושים בהם הרצון קונם פאר וכבוד נותנים לשמו תחלה ורינה